Hi, Stella here from North Star Crochet. So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn the single crochet and the turning chains of a single crochet, and then we're going to go on to the double crochet and learn the turning chains from a double crochet point of view. So all I'm going to do is 5 stitches across on each one and show you the difference in the turning chains. So I'm going to do 5 stitches across and maybe a couple of rows just to show you the stitch and the turning chain and how to turn your work. Okay, so the first thing what we're going to do is do a slip knot, and then we're going to start by doing our chains. Now if I only want 5 stitches across, I would do 5 chains, and then I would do 1 extra chain, which is a turning chain, for a single crochet. If you have a pattern, it will normally incorporate this extra stitch. So on a pattern, it won't say chain 5, it will say chain 6. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and chain 6. So that's yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So that's 4, 5 and 6. So that 6th stitch is going to be the turning chain for a single crochet, and basically that chain will sit on the side and make the height of your next row. So that is the height of a single crochet, that extra chain, and that leaves you with 5 chains remaining to work into, hence where we get the 5 stitches from. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've done 6 chain. The pattern will then probably say single crochet into the 2nd chain from the hook. So you're not counting that hoop that's already on your hook. That will be your 1st chain there, which was the extra chain that we did, the 6th chain, and that will be the 2nd chain from your hook, which is the one that we'll be going into. Okay, so a single crochet, we don't need to yarn over first because we've already got a single loop on our hook. So if you've already got a loop on your hook, you know that you're going to be doing a single crochet. So single loop on the hook before going into your chain stitch. You go through and then you're going to pull up a loop, which means grab that yarn and pull it back through the stitch. So you've now got 2 loops on the hook. That's why it's called pulling up a loop, because you've got that extra loop on now. Okay, so now you've got 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, so we're going to yarn over from the back around the front of the hook, and then you're going to pull that through the 2 loops that are already on your hook, and that is your 1st single crochet. Now the difference between the stitches, the chain stitch is not really a full stitch yet. Although it's a stitch, it's not a full stitch. It's only made up of 3. So when you go through that, you're only going to be picking up 1 loop. On your next row, when you go through the single crochet, you'll notice at the top of that stitch, you've got 2 loops, a front loop and a back loop. So when you get on your next row, you will be going through both those 2 loops, but we'll get to that. Okay, so we're going to carry on down the chain, and we're going to do 4 more single crochets to the end of that chain. A good way of finding out where your next chain is that hole there seems to be a bit bigger than anything else, and that's because we've just done a single crochet into it, so it seems a bit bigger. So we know we've been into that one. So you find your next dash of your next chain, which is that one there. Yeah, so we're not going into that hole, we're going into your next one. And because it's a single crochet again, we've only got 1 loop on our hook already, so we don't need to yarn over first. We've got a single one on, so we're going to go straight into our next stitch through to the back. I'm going to pull up a loop, which is dragging that yarn back through the stitch, So we've pulled up an extra loop there, so we've now got 2 loops on our hook. We're then going to yarn over and pull through those 2, and that's your next single crochet. Again, that chain's quite big there, don't worry about it, it will lessen as you go along. So you're not going to go into that big hole there, you're going to find your next chain, your next dash. So at the top you'll see your next dash at the top. Yep. And we're going to go straight into that next stitch, through, pull up a loop. So you've now got 2 loops on the hook. Always remember to bring it back to this central point as well, your working area. Yarn over and pull through. That's your third one. Go into your stitch, pull up a loop, bring it back to the centre. You're then going to yarn over and pull through both those 2 loops that are on your hook. And then the last one, go into your stitch. So you've just got 1 loop on there because it's the chain. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both. So now you've got 5 stitches, 5 single crochets. And if you take a look at the top, you can see the V's on the top. Okay, or V's if you face it that way. So from the hook you've got 1 there, 1 V, then you've got your next V, 2 V's, 3 V's, 4 V and 5 V. So you've got 5 stitches there. Now the turning chain on a single crochet, so if your next row is going to be another row of single crochets, you want to chain 1, which is your turning chain, and chain 1 just gives you the height of 1 single crochet. So your next row is going to be that height. Okay, and then you're going to turn your work. You can see your extra chain there, and then you can see the first V of your first single crochet from the row below. Another way of finding where you put your next stitch is, if you can see there's a line of yarn there and a line of yarn there, and then a divot, and then a line of yarn and a line of yarn and a divot, line of yarn and a divot. You can also pull it, you'll be able to see the holes, you'll be able to see the divots a bit better. Okay, those divots are the ones that you're going into. Okay, I'll put my hook back in. So the first divot is going to be there. You're ignoring that chain that you've just done, and you're going into your first divot. So another single crochet is into your divot, into your stitch. You'll notice then that you've got the front loop and the back loop at the top of that stitch, which is fine. We're then going to bring up a loop, which means dragging the yarn through that stitch. So now you've got 2 loops on your hook. You're yarning over and pulling through those 2, and that makes your next single crochet. Again, we're going to find our next divot. So you've got your 2 lines and a divot. So you're going to go straight into that because we've already got a single loop on our hook. So we're going to be doing a single crochet from that. Straight in. Make sure that you've got both the front and the back loop on of that stitch. Pulling the yarn through that stitch to bring up a loop. You've then got 2 loops on your hook. You're yarning over and pulling through. Next divot, next stitch. Go through your stitch. Pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through both of those. Some more yarnage here. Yeah. And then the 4th one. Do another single crochet. Now the fifth one is just falling to the side a little bit. It's sort of going round a little bit. So you just got to make sure that you know that you're going through that last stitch. So you're going to go through the next divot and make sure that you're picking up the front and the back loop there. You're then going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both. And then when you look at it from the top, again, you should have 5 V's. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. You don't count the one that's on your hook. So you've got 5 stitches there again. And that is your single crochet. So if you were going to continue with single crochets, you would chain 1 and single crochet all the way back. What I'm going to do is switch it up a bit. In fact, no, what I'm going to do is start from the beginning and show you the double crochet from the chain. So I shall pull all that out. Right, to do a double crochet, and we're going to do 5 stitches again. The double crochet has a turning chain of 2. So in the pattern, it'll probably tell you to chain 7, not 6. Okay, so we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, so we've got 7 now. Now the last 2 that you did, the 6th and the 7th, that's going to make up the side of the double crochet, and the double crochet is twice the height of a single crochet, hence why we're doing 2. Some patterns will even use 3 as a turning chain for a double. I tend to use 2. So that will get you the height of the next row. Okay, so on a double crochet, if you're doing 5 stitches, it'll tell you to chain 7. It will then tell you to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. So we're not counting the loop that's on the hook. So that's 1, 2, and then the 3rd chain from the hook is where we're going to make our first double crochet. So because we're doing a double crochet, we're going to yarn over first before we go through any stitches. So we've got 2 loops on our hook, 2 double crochet. Okay, so 2 loops on the hook before we go through that 3rd chain from the hook. We're then going to pull up a loop. So we've now got 3 loops on our hook. Now what we're going to do is yarn over and pull through 2. So that's 1 and 2. So we've got 2 loops on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. 1 and 2. So that's your double crochet. Okay, again, a double crochet. We're going to go into the next chain. So we're going to yarn over first because it's a double crochet, so we want 2 loops on the hook before going through your stitch and pulling up a loop. We've now got 3 loops on the hook, and we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So yarn over, pull through the first 2, 1 and 2, and then you've got 2 loops on your hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2. So 1 and 2. So you should always finish up with just 1 loop on your hook. Okay, another double crochet. So yarn over, go through your next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Next stitch, yarn over, go into your stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And that's your next double crochet. You've then got 1 chain left, that's your last chain. So we're going to yarn over, double bubble on for a double crochet, go through your stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and that is your last stitch of this particular pattern. So you should have 5 V's on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got 5 double crochets on there. So if you're going to do another row of double crochets, you want to get the height of the stitch. So you're going to chain 2 to get the height of your double crochet row. You're then going to turn your work, flip it to the other side, and then you're going to go down the row again, going into the stitches. So you're ignoring the first 2 chains, which is the extra turning chains that you did. Because they're not counting as a stitch, you are going to go into your first divot there. So again, a double crochet is, we're going to yarn over first. So we've got 2 loops on the hook. Before going into your first stitch, making sure that you've got the front loop and the back loop on. Pull the yarn up through that stitch. So you've now got 3. You're then going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's your first stitch of the second row. And we're going to carry that down. So yarn over through your next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Your next stitch, your next divot is yarn over, because it's double crochet, through your stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and then your next one, again it's still a double crochet, so we're yarning over first, double bubble on, going through your stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over through the first 2, yarn over through the last 2, and then your last stitch, yarn over, go through your stitch. Always make sure that you're getting the front and the back loop on when you get your, that's when you get past your chain and you're on proper stitches. You want to get the front loop and the back loop on of that stitch. Then you're pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through the first 2, yarning over, pulling through the second 2, and that's your second row of double crochet. Now if you wanted to change it up a bit and do, you've got the first 2 rows of double crochet, maybe the third row you want to do a single crochet, a row of single crochets. So because you're doing a row of single crochets, you would only chain 1 on this row, because you only want that height to be the height of a single crochet. So you chain 1 and turn your work, and then you're ignoring that chain 1 and you're going to go straight into that first stitch, because again, because we've changed it down to a single crochet, you only want 1 loop on your hook before going through your stitch, and then you're going to pull up a loop. So you've got 2 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Go into your next stitch, again it's a single crochet, so we only want 1 loop on the hook before going into your stitch, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pulling through 2. Next stitch, go straight in, pull up a loop, yarn over and through 2. Next stitch, go straight in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on the last stitch, so we're going to go in, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and that is your row of single crochets. It's a lot smaller than the double. Okay, and that is your turning chains for your double crochet and your turning chains for your single crochet. You can mix the pattern, so do a row of double and then do a row of single, then do a row of double, but just remember the beginning of each row, if you're doing a row of single, you're just chaining 1. If you're doing a row of double, then you're chaining 2. Okay, happy crocheting.